Hi, everyone. Welcome to part 3 of the homework 1 demonstration files or videos. So in this demonstration video, I'm going to show how to create something called an energy mass balance, which I will be talking about in class. And the way that we're going to be creating that is actually running a energy model of this simple house. So this is kind of the endpoint of the last simulation where we dropped in these two components, honeybee check versions and honeybee config, and just got some information from them. We don't need this anymore, so I'm actually just going to close it. So you can see that this is a grasshopper file that's unnamed. And if we left click up here in unnamed, we see kind of a window view of it, and I don't want it anymore. I'm just going to close out of it. So I'm going to left click on this red X, and it's going to say this document unnamed has been modified. Do you want to save the changes? And I'm just going to say no. So that is one way to close out of a grasshopper file. By selecting it, it's going to be, the name of it's going to be up here in the upper right hand corner. You can left click it and then just close it by hitting the X. Okay, so now we're going to open up another grasshopper file, the one that is in the homework_1 folder. So there's multiple ways to open up grasshopper files. One of the ways is just dragging the grasshopper definition, this .gh file. So I am left clicking, holding the left click, and just dragging it onto the grasshopper canvas. So that is one way to open up a grasshopper file. The other way to open up a grasshopper file, I'm going to demonstrate that. So I'm just going to close this one. So I'm going to left click here where it says the name of the file and close it with the red X. You can also open up a grasshopper file by going to File, Open Document, and then navigating to the file. So let me navigate. See, go here, assignments, homework 1. Choose the grasshopper file and say open. So this is a saved grasshopper file that we just opened. And there's a lot to it. I'm scrolling or minimizing and maximizing with the scroll. And then you can pan by left clicking and holding. So panning, scrolling. Okay, I'm going to pan to here where it says select thermal zone geometry. This is so the objective of this part of the demonstration is to create a little energy model of this hypothetical house, this 40-foot by 30-foot by 12 feet high little house. Or not necessarily little, just house. So we have geometry in Rhino that kind of is the massing of the house, and we want to bring it, kind of port it into Grasshopper. One way to do that is using this component that I call a BREP container. BREP stands for boundary representation, and it's basically any 3D geometry. And what this component is I think of it as basically a container of geometry, and it helps you grab geometry from Rhino and bring it into Grasshopper. The location of this component is under params, the first tab, and then if you left click on this down arrow in geometry, it is right here. Contains a collection of BREPs. Yeah, so we click there. You click into the canvas, you'll see that is where I got this one. Okay, so I'm going to download or delete that one. So one way to bring geometry into this container is by right-clicking on it and saying set one BREP. So if you right-click on it and say set one BREP, as soon as you do that, Grasshopper will minimize, and you'll see like the cursor changed, and it's basically allowing you to select something from Rhino. So I'm going to left click here. And I've selected this. This is no longer orange anymore because it contains this geometry. When components are orange, they don't have any information. When they turn gray, that means that the little script ran and it contains some information. It contains an output. If you hover over this container, you'll see that there's one locally defined value, reference brep. So there's some information in there. If we want to visualize this, there's a few different ways to visualize grasshopper information in Rhino. Let's turn off. I'm going to go into the point layer here in Rhino. So I'm going to left click, go into the point layer, and I'm going to turn the visualization of the house layer off. So we can't see it anymore. Right now, if we right click on this brep container, we could turn the preview for it on. So I'm going to right click on this brep container. You'll see here that there's a preview option. I'm going to left click here, and you'll see that there's a preview of the information that's being generated in Grasshopper into Rhino. So it's red because that is one of the options in Grasshopper. You'll see, I call breps also, I call them marshmallows because the icon looks like marshmallows. You'll see that your red marshmallow icon here is selected. That will display information from Grasshopper in Rhino red. You could also choose this wireframe option. It'll show the information from Grasshopper and Rhino as a wireframe. You could also choose this option. Don't draw any preview geometry. That's not super helpful. I always keep it on the red. Okay, cool. So that is showing as red because we have the preview on. Let's turn the preview off. So I'm going to right click and select preview again to turn the preview off. You might have noticed that the color of it changed. So this is like kind of a darker, let's actually, I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V. So you have two breps to compare. I'm going to turn the preview for this one on. You'll see how this is a lighter gray than this one. This light gray means that the preview is on. So anytime you see a darker gray, this is a darker gray, the preview is off for that. This is a darker gray, the preview is off. If you right click, oh, another thing, you have to right click on in a certain location to see the preview option. So you have to right click where it says the name of the component. So I'm going to right click here where it says the name of the component, then I will see the preview option. I turned the preview on for this component. Some components don't have a preview to show. This one is one of them. So that's why we didn't see anything. I'm going to turn the preview off now. See how it turned dark gray? You can practice that, turning the preview on and off. Also notice if you right click on any of the inputs or any of the outputs, you won't see the preview option. Only if you right click on the name of the component. Also, you can select a component and right click in the canvas, but it can't be in, this color is a group. You have to right click on in the canvas without any color, without any group, and you'll also see the preview off or on option. So that's another way to change the preview on and off. You can also select multiple components and turn the preview on and off. So I'm going to left click, drag over all of this, and then you can right click in the canvas, anywhere in the canvas, and choose preview off. That'll turn the preview off for all of those components. Or you can select everything, right click in the canvas and say preview on, and it'll turn the preview on. Hopefully that is clear. I'm going to turn the preview off now. And I am going to delete this. Okay, another way to see geometry in Rhino from Grasshopper is to turn on the green marshmallow. What the green marshmallow does is it overrides the preview on and off that you've selected for each component, and it only shows the preview for components that you select. So it's like an override. And it won't show, I'm going to turn the preview on for this. Even though the preview is on for this, it's not showing it's not showing it in Rhino because I don't have it selected. Okay. I'm turning the green marshmallow off, and I'm also turning the preview off. Oops, I think, okay, so this is a good thing to demonstrate. I accidentally disabled this component, and the way I can tell is that the text became gray. I'm going to right click and enable it. I accidentally selected disable instead of the preview. So to disable a component, you right click and you can select this enabled, and it will basically disable it. You'll see that this icon became like light gray because it's disabled, and then you can select enabled to run the component. When a component is disabled, it won't run. Okay. So we have brought in our geometry from Rhino into Grasshopper. There's some other components here. This one right here, it's, and I'll go into all of these in more detail later, but I just kind of want to give you an overview. This sets basic construction properties for the assemblies in your energy model. If you hover over this, it'll tell you it's getting a construction set from the standards library using a climate zone, building vintage, and construction type. We don't have to worry about that too much right now, but if you hover over the output, you can see it's selecting climate zone 4 wood framed construction assemblies and applying them to our thermal zones that we're creating with this component. What this set of components is doing is selecting programs types. So this selects the basic building program. Then this searches in the building program for rooms. This is a human item selector that allows you to select between different rooms. We're using this mid-rise apartment room because it's the one that is most similar to a single family home, which we are modeling here. This is a single family house that we're modeling. Okay, and then this component basically creates a thermal little energy model with these inputs: the geometry, the construction set, and the program. What's coming out of this is a little energy model. Then this set of components is adding windows with a window to wall ratio. So right now we have a window to wall ratio of 20% selected. We're not going to change this. Let's say we wanted to visualize the energy model. The way that we do that is we have to use a specific, some specific components. There's a few different ones that visualize the energy models. Unfortunately, if you right click on these components and say preview, nothing is going to show. You actually need a different component to visualize energy models. Right here, I have this honeybee visualized by type component, which is found in the honeybee, and then one visualize tab, honeybee visualized by type. Where is it? Right here. And it will display all of these different components of the energy model. So let's preview that. So I'm going to right click and say preview. And so then we can see our little energy model. And these colors are actually, they come from, they're derived from Energy Plus. Orange is kind of the standard Energy Plus color for walls. Blue is the standard color for windows. This gray is the standard color for floors, and this maroon is the standard color for roofs. So in your deliverable, I want you to navigate in this perspective view. You can kind of rotate by holding down the right click and zoom in and out by scrolling, and take a screenshot of this and paste it in your deliverable. This is your little energy model of your house, of the home that you are going to be modeling. And if you want a little bit more information in it, you could put in the dimension. So let's actually do that. So let's go in Rhino, click dimension, choose align dimension, and it's going to ask for the first dimension point. Let's turn on the house layer. So now you'll see that when the house layer isn't on, there's not actually any geometry in Rhino right now. It's just a visualization of what is being generated in Grasshopper, but there isn't actually any geometry in Rhino from Grasshopper right now. So we need to turn on some geometry in Rhino to select it for this, this command, this dimension command. So I'm going to turn on the geometry, this house model in Rhino, so we can select it 40 feet. And let's do the same for this, this isn't super neat, but just to make a note of what we're working with here. I'm actually gonna select, I'm gonna minimize this. I'm going to select, I'm going to select these two dimensions and go into properties, and I'm gonna just scale these down a little bit. So, or yes, scale this, I'm using the model space scale. So let's just like scale it to 50. Okay, that fits a little bit better. And let's say we wanted the vertical dimension too. We could use, if we go to kind of, let's go to the right view and choose align dimension and choose the bottom and the top and put the dimension there. And then let's also select the dimension and choose 50. Okay. A little, let's make these smaller. I don't think they need to be so big. So I'm gonna select these dimensions. I'm selecting them with the left click and then holding shift to select multiple dimensions, and then coming in here, let's do 25. Okay, that's good. And now we could turn off our house. So we're just viewing the energy model, and you can take a little screenshot of this. This is better with the dimensions, just to document what you have here and put this in your deliverable. Okay, let's go back to Grasshopper. We can bring up the Grasshopper window again by typing Grasshopper, and we have this visualize by type showing. Now we are actually ready to run this energy model. The last thing we need, so these honeybee rooms, which are our thermal zones, are being passed to this this component called honeybee annual loads, which is one way to run an energy model. It's there's two different command or components to run energy models. This one is the fastest way. It runs it super fast. It's not the most accurate, but it's a good way to just do it quickly. You can find it under honeybee energy, simulate honeybee annual loads. And that's what this says right here. Honeybee energy, simulate honeybee annual loads. So it wants rooms. It wants an energy plus weather file, which we are passing it. And it wants this toggle to run. And we're also going to run the energy balance, the energy mass balance, which is this input right here. I'm not going to go into the other inputs, but if you want to learn more about them, you can hover over them and get a sense of what they are. The only ones that are required are the ones with the underscore in the front, and that is typical of all Ladybug Tools components. So if there's an underscore in the front, it's required to run. So we only needed the thermal zones, which are also called honeybee rooms, the energy plus weather file, and this run to be true. We're also adding the run energy mass balance. Okay. And I'm going to be going into all of this in more detail, but we're just going to quickly test creating an energy mass balance and practice doing this on your own. So I'm going to double left click on run energy model. And that ran pretty fast. That was it. The energy model ran. All we're getting out of this is the energy balance. If you hover over this, you'll see that there's information coming out of this. There's things listed here: energy, intensity, 12 values, monthly collection. Okay, so that is how we run an energy mass balance using this component. This set of components, I'm gonna create a separate video on explaining what these do, but basically what they do all together, all of these inputs, is grabbing the information from the energy model, these outputs, and creating the chart visualization. So to visualize this chart, what we are going to do is get out of the perspective view and go to the top view. And you'll see that the monthly chart, the energy mass balance chart is showing right here. So this was generated after we ran the energy simulation. Oh, I think one thing I should add, I apologize for not saying this sooner. Hopefully this wasn't confusing. But this weather file path should point to the file path of the energy plus weather file for homework 1, which is located under homework _1 weather, and is this energy plus weather file. So this file path matches the file path that I recommended for the class. But if you have a different file path, all you have to do is navigate to this weather file. We are going to be using this .epw file. You hold shift, right click, and then say copy as path. Then you can come into Grasshopper, delete the file path that was already there and say Control V, take away the quotes, and that will be the file path that you use. Make sure that you don't have any spaces after this file path. You want there to be no spaces. So usually what I do is I go to the last letter and then I hit delete a few times and then I click out of it. If you hit enter, it will create more lines. So we don't want that. You just want to click out of it so your file path is shown there. Hopefully, sorry for not mentioning that sooner. Hopefully that wasn't confusing. Okay, so now we have the energy mass balance. And what we can do, what I like to do is I like to, I'm in Rhino now, and left click here in the drop down for top and say, choose the Arctic view. And for me, the Arctic view kind of looks like this. You can also change the settings to just get a white background. This isn't required, but I just think it looks nicer with the white background. What we're also going to do is set a named view in Rhino so that we're we can always go back to the same exact output and grab the same exact view. In the command line, type in named view and hit enter. You can just create or scroll and pan so that the energy mass balance is shown here, kind of in the center. Okay, that looks good to me. I just moved the grasshopper canvas out of the way. And I'm going to say save. And I'm going to call this energy mass balance. Okay, so I created a view called energy mass balance, no spaces. This is important because we are actually going to be exporting views from Rhino using Grasshopper. We want, I'm not sure if it cares if there's any spaces, but just for safe measure, make sure that there's no spaces here. If you need to redo it, you can delete a view and then save a view again and make sure that there are no spaces here in your name. Okay. Now, the cool thing about this named view is if you scroll out and double click on the named view, you'll go back to the same named view. Okay, so you have a few options here for kind of editing this energy mass balance diagram. And the only one that I'm going to be going over in this video is changing the global title, which is what we see down below. So right now it's saying residential home energy mass balance for Seattle. We are going to be running it for 2 locations. So this is where we're going to be changing the name of the energy mass balance chart for Seattle. Now, so this is displaying the energy mass balance chart. A quick way to export this image into your folder, into your homework folder, is to use this group of components, which exports Rhino image to a file. So you do need to change these inputs. Actually, you need to interact with all of these inputs to export the Rhino image to a file. You can see here we're using the Ladybug capture view component. We know that by hovering over the name of it right here, capture view. If you hover over the name of it, it'll show you the full name of the component. I also have the names of the components up here and where they're located in the tabs. Okay, so this is going to be the file name of the image. We're going to export this image directly into a file. So this is the file name of the image. This is the folder to save the image to. So let's actually create this folder. I'm going to create an output tab or folder here. And if we go into this output folder and click up here at the search, we can copy this file path and double left click into this panel and paste it in. So then we have this file path to the folder that we want to save it to. We also want the Rhino viewport for the image. We want the energy mass balance viewport. It's actually going to grab a screenshot of this viewport for us. So even if we scroll out and we're like over here somewhere, and we click export image, it's going to grab this energy mass balance viewport for us. I'm going to go back to that view by clicking on named view to bring up that window and choosing the energy mass balance view. You can see the name of it by scrolling down, or you can make this bigger. You can see this is the energy mass balance view. Okay, I'm going to save. This is an important step because this export won't work with this viewport unless you save it. So I'm going to save. And then we're going to change the width and the height of this view. And we want it to match this Rhino view. So if you go to properties, you'll see the width and the height of the Rhino view. So I'm going to choose 2199 as my width because that's what's shown here, and 1230 is the height, which it was already on 1230. Okay, so this looks good. I'm going to left click on this export image and that will capture the view. So if I go to the folder, you'll see that the view was captured. You'll see that there's a point here. This point actually is being brought in. This is a point container in view energy mass balance. This is the location of the chart. You can move the point and it will move the chart. I'm gonna say Control Z because I want it to be in the consistent spot every time I export this image. But just to demonstrate, that's what that point is being used for. Okay, so we created a screenshot of the Seattle energy mass balance. And now we are going to create a screenshot for Phoenix. So we're going to create the energy mass balance for Phoenix. Let's go to the weather file for Phoenix. So we're going to be using this energy plus weather file. You're going to hit shift on your computer, and while you're holding shift, right click and say copy as a path. So I copied that. I'm going to go to params, choose a panel, left click in the canvas to drop that panel, double left click in the panel and say Control V. I'm going to take out the quotes and click out. So once again, you want to make sure that there's no spaces after this. So we don't want that. And we don't want any returns. So like I said, I usually go to the last letter and just hit delete a few times and then click out. We can change the title of a panel by right clicking. And right here, where there's nothing specified, we can type in Phoenix weather. So now we have Seattle weather at the top and Phoenix weather path at the bottom. And we're using this .epw file. We're going to replace the EPW file that's going into here by left clicking and dragging and bringing this output into this EPW file input. And you should see a different energy mass balance pop up. You should also only see one wire coming in. You shouldn't have two wires. Like if you accidentally hit shift while you connected the weather file, you'll have two weather files going in. I'm going to delete what I just did by hitting Control. I'm holding Control and retracing this wire to disconnect the Seattle weather and only have the Phoenix weather going in. This is set to true, so it's automatically going to run the energy model. And when this is set to true, the results are going to be here after the energy model runs. And now this is showing information for Phoenix. I don't have it set up to automatically change the title, which is something you could do in Grasshopper. And it's not too complicated to do. But for now, we're just going to manually change the title to Phoenix. And so I came in here where it says view energy mass balance for the input to the global title for the monthly chart. I changed that to Phoenix. And over here in the capture view area for the file name of the image, I'm going to change this to Phoenix. And I'm going to export it. I think that's all we need to change. So hit the button to export. Now let's go to the output folder and you should see two energy mass balances. If you open one and like go to the next, you should see that they're in the exact same place because we use that name view. So it should perfectly match up, which is nice to have consistent graphics. And that's it. So you can copy and paste both of these energy mass balance diagrams into your deliverable. And in class, we'll be talking about what are energy mass balance diagrams and how to interpret them. And your last part of the homework assignment will be reading the energy mass balance diagrams and answering some questions about them. Cool, thanks. And let me know in class or over email if you had any questions about these demonstration videos for homework 1. Okay, bye.